Today we are going to score the papers we cut. If you noticed on the Paul Ford tape, he did it in 2 steps. I sort of like to put my tape on as I go. You may find whatever's easiest for you. So I made a list of all the things that we have cut out, and I put an orange mark on where we need to score them. And if you did the pages and then turned them upside down, we're back in the right order. So my first piece is the top flap, and that was the one I wasn't sure if we had enough paper for, but I did cut it out, and it's 7.5 by 6.5, and we don't need any scoring on that. So I'll just lay it aside. And I'm going to still keep them upside down as I do it. The next one has 3 of the same thing, and they are the 3 waterfalls. And I'm going to just use my cutter, I decided, because many of you don't have a scoreboard. And I'm going to use a tool that has a sharp edge, but not too sharp. And I'm going to score. These are squares. They are 6.5-inch squares, and I'm going to score them at 1/2 inch. Now I want to just get my cutter out of the way, and I can leave this up or I can put it down. I think it helps hold it in place. And I just run this along, and that gives me a 1/2 inch score line. I'm going to do this 3 times. Like I said, you can leave the cutter up or down because all we're using is the groove in between. And since they're all the same, I don't have to worry about which side they go on. Now I'm just going to, from the center out, just rub that down a little bit, right where I scored it. There's 3 of them. These are going to be flexible because you do want them to lie flat. So you can even score them both directions. And now I'm going to put a piece of tape on each one of those. I'm using double-sided tape, and it's a 1/2 inch score, and you don't want to go over the score line. Of course, the first one I do crooked. Now you can tear this with your fingers, or just put an edge near the end. And I have this little tab there, but I think that'll be okay. So that's 1. So I'm using 3/8. You could use half, but that's pretty close. I'm just tearing it backwards. And 3. So this is my waterfall. You do want it to be securely down, and you'll see when we attach these, one might be done in a different direction. Okay, so we've done that one. Now we're going to do the little teeny band. The band has 2 marks on it, and it has it on the 1/2 inch mark. And then it has it on the 5/8 mark, just a little bit more, so that it'll have 2 little lines that you'll be folding down. And that will give you somewhere to anchor your waterfall down. We'll be using a magnet too, but this is what will be anchored. You can cut this off too. You don't have to use tearing or use your fingers. I don't have good fingernails. People that do, works out nicely. Okay, now I'm on, this was for the top cover. Now I'm on the bottom part, the top flaps, and there's 2 pieces that are 8 5/8 by 6.5. On this one, I want the long side scored. I think let's see, top flaps against the long, let's see. I drew myself a picture here. It's actually, we want the long side placed up top. And this is also going to be scored at a 1/2 inch, but also at 1 1/8. So I first lay it on the 1/2 inch mark, and I run it down. And then I go over here to the 1 1/8 inch mark. And I score it again. I'm going to do this twice, so it has 2 score lines, 1/2 inch and 1 1/8. I think I'll just leave up the top. 1/2 inch, then go up to the 1 1/8. Okay, now this will be folded twice, and you'll notice when Paul, yes, he likes to rub it down from the center out. I don't have that habit, but I think it's a good habit to get into. So I'm folding 2 score lines, 1 1/8 and 1/2 inch, and my tape goes on the 1/2 inch mark. And this is going to leave a little bit of a pocket there. They're going to be facing like this. It'll make a pocket. So sometimes it's hard to imagine how this is all going together, but it will. And if you keep it in the order that you cut it, that'll help. Now I did go over there, so over the edge with the tape, I'm going to just wipe that out. Now again, I'm putting my 3/8 inch tape on here. Now you don't have to use 3/8 inch tape. You can actually even use a tape runner as you go along, but I find the tape holds well, and you can add liquid tape also. Okay, so that was the top flaps. Okay, now we're doing the middle flaps, and they are 7.5 inch squares. There's 2 of them. Because it's a square, it doesn't matter where you put the score. And let's see, for the squares we are doing it at 1/2 and 1. So I don't know if you've seen the progression yet, but by what we're doing is we're decreasing the amount of space. So all of these pages will lie upon each other without overlapping. So it'll look really smooth. So these 7.5 inch squares we're scoring at a 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. So you can rub it with your fingers, or you can use your bone folder or whatever you're doing for scoring, your choice. I find the fingers works most of the time, but if you want a good bend, it's better to use a bone folder. So there's one of my 7.5 inch squares, and the next one. So what you don't want is the tape to go over the score line. You want it to go between the edge and the score line. Okay, our next piece is our gatefolds, and they are 6.5 by 4 4/8, and so we want it, the score along the 1/2 inch score along, let's see, we're doing it at a 1/2 and 1 for that one. This one we're doing a 1/2 and 7/8. So we want it along the long edge, so we put the short edge up top. So here's my 1/2, and now I'm going to 7/8. So 2 lines. And for me, I did not write the pages on all my black. I find that a little bit cumbersome, so if I keep them in order, it works pretty well. And that's why I take the time and put the tape on in one fell swoop. Now the little 7/8 one is very small. So we'll smooth that over with this.